What's up, everyone? I hope your week is going well. Mine's going pretty well so far, and I want to touch upon a subject this week that we often overlook: first aid. Whether you're out on a trail or you're overlanding or you're hiking, wherever you're at, even at home, it's good to have a first aid kit, have a couple first aid kits, depending on the severity of the medical aid needed. So you're 50 times more likely to encounter a first aid emergency of some kind or medical emergency of some kind than you are something with self-defense where you need a weapon. So I think a lot of people focus solely on defending themselves and they often overlook medical care. So today we're gonna look at the medical stuff that I have in my vehicle. Now, disclosure, I am not in the medical field. I am not an EMT, paramedic, nurse, doctor, anything like that. The only training I do have is through the military. So I do have some background with college. I'm not here to teach any first aid or anything like that. All I'm trying to show you is what I carry when I go out. And I'm gonna briefly tell you why I have these items, but I'm not going to go in and try to be a medical professional. That being said, if there are some medical professionals out there, please comment. We all want to hear some ideas, tips, tricks, some supplies that you might say, hey, bring this along. You might have forgotten about it. Even if you're not in the medical field and you do have supplies that I don't show in this video, go ahead and comment. Tell me, hey, have you thought about bringing this? Now, you may find that I don't have certain things in here. And the reason why I don't is because it depends on the environment I'm in. Sometimes it's winter. So sometimes if I'm winter camping, I will take things out of my pack and I will replace them with other things, or vice versa, depending on the environment. So with that being said, let's check out what I have in each of my bags, because I have multiple bags. I also have some up here that I carry, and I'll show you some of the stuff that I use that maybe you'd like to use as well. Like I always say, build it how you want. Take the supplies for what they are. If you want them, go ahead and put them in your pack. If not, build it for wherever you're going. It's your setup, do it how you want. So let's check out my first aid kits. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna show you is I'm gonna show you the different pouches that I have. You don't have to get these pouches. I'm just gonna show you what I use. Obviously, a lot of them are going to be military style because it was just convenience. I had these laying around, why not use them? So first of all, I'm gonna show you how this is attached. I have this on the back window. If you haven't seen my Smart Cap video, go ahead and check that out. But there's these little connectors right here. I built this panel using just a panel I had bought a couple years ago that it's just been sitting around. I cut it, fit it on there. I know some people are saying, why is it not covering this? Well, I guess it wasn't so much for security. I was looking more at just having it on here so I can connect things to it. So with that being said, you saw this one when I attached it in the intro. This is Velcro. So what I love about this is you can just rip it off of here. And that's one of my pouches. That's my first aid kit that I usually carry around. I'll carry it with me in my pack. If I'm going on a hike or something, if I'm not going that far away, I will carry this and just throw it in there. It has a lot of the basics, and we'll get into that in a little bit. I'll show you what's in there. Now these pouches, these are all still connected in here with that MOLLE webbing. And I will show what's inside these as well. Just more of the basics of, you know, toiletries and things such as that, insect spray and stuff like that. I do have a combat bag that I use. It's a CLS bag, but combat lifesaver bag that I do use. This is more of my toiletries and stuff. This is separate. Not even gonna get into that. This is my big aid bag. It's not that big, but it's big enough where I have a lot more trauma stuff in here, things that I learned in CLS class or different life-saving classes, that things like, you know, your combat gauze and stuff like that. So I have more of that in here and all the rest of my stuff. So I really have two main packs, but then I have the rest of my stuff that I just keep attached on here and I pull from it as I go. So I think what we'll do is I will take these and put these, lay these out, do a layout, and I will show you what's in each of these packs, and I'll tell you why I have them. It looks like a lot of stuff because it is, but not as much as what's in this bag that I got over here. That's a whole nother thing. We'll get to that in a second. This is my first aid kit. I'll call it that. This is what I carry when I go on a hike, or if I'm climbing somewhere, if I'm just away from my camp, but I'm not that far away, I'll just carry this with. Throw it in my pack or bring it just handheld. Either way, I'm gonna start from the bottom up. We're gonna start from the minimal injuries and then work our way up. So we're gonna start with Band-Aids. Best thing to have is make sure you have some large Band-Aids, you have some medium-sized ones, and you have some little ones. Now, you don't know who you're going to encounter. You might have a child that's on the trail. You might have, you may have children yourself, and if they're injured, you need smaller Band-Aids. So bigger, medium, small Band-Aids. Also, these are blister Band-Aids. If you do not have these, I suggest it. These things are amazing. I suggest getting some, because if you are a hiker, you do a lot of running on trails, you know that you've had blisters before, and they suck. They can wreck your trip very quickly. So it's good to have blister Band-Aids. Look them up. I'll put some of that stuff into the description. With cuts and things, gauze is great too for a little bit worse cuts, ones that are bleeding a little bit more. And then of course you want to make sure before you cover up those cuts, you want to put some triple antibiotic ointment on. You want to clean them, maybe iodine or alcohol preps. Like I said, if this is not correct, with the medical community, go ahead and comment. Let me know if there's a better way to do this. If there are other products that are actually more efficient, go ahead and throw it in there. Everybody would love to hear that. Learn a lot from you if you're in a medical profession. So next thing I want to cover is I'm going to cover injuries and sprains and things such as that. So you have right here this is for if you have sprained ankle, sprained, or anything like that. Just a couple wraps right there. And then I also have SAM splint. If you've never seen one of these, there's metal inside of here. Believe it's aluminum. I'm not sure. Somebody go ahead and comment. But this can be molded into anything you need it to make it into. You can mold it into a splint for your arm or leg. It's great for your wrist, your hand on just like that, and then you can just wrap it with your ACE bandage. That easy. So if you do not have a SAM splint, go ahead and look it up. I can also put that in the description as well. These are amazing to have. Invest in that. Next, eye protection. So out here you have a lot of little tree limbs, you have blackberry bushes, you have buckthorn, you have things such as that when you're walking down the trail, oftentimes you might catch one to the face. If you get cut in the eye, you're going to want to protect that until you get back and you can get some medical aid. So eye patches, tape, can never go wrong with tape. More tape the better. Everybody knows that. I like to bring along some pain relief just in case you got a headache or you have an injury. Also, something I did not add in here, I believe it's in my other bag, is some ibuprofen. So if you do sprain your ankle, roll your ankle, ibuprofen is great for inflammation. It should help with some of the swelling until you can get somewhere and get some ice. Now over to this, also with pain relief, is I have some muscle rub, BioFreeze, icy hot things such as that. The brand doesn't really matter, just as long as it's going to work to help with anything that you have for muscle pains or anything. You might pull a muscle. This is great to have. These two kind of go hand in hand. So you got cortisone 10 and you have your Benadryl spray. It's kind of an all-in-one thing. This is great for bug bites, things out here. You have all kinds of elements. You have poison ivy, poison sumac, poison oak, things like that. You also have different types of bugs, every insect you can think of. So it's good to have that. It's also great to have these. I will get into this next. This is an auto injector for epinephrine. My son was allergic to bees. He doesn't really have that issue anymore. We started carrying this right here, some Benadryl. It's good to have this. So the other thing that I have some gloves. Very good to have gloves. I know they're not in a great secure place or sterile place, but it's great to have gloves. And then I carry a This is a scalpel. I just carry it to cut things. If I need to cut any of this stuff, I have a scalpel with. Somebody gave this to me. Anything I get my hands on, I usually hang on to it. You never know when you're gonna use it. Now going into even further, the more serious stuff. And I don't have a lot here for that because this is just my basic first aid kit. But serious stuff, you have combat gauze. This is for major hemorrhaging, and this is going to hemorrhaging is bleeding. So that's a major thing that we learned in the military. Probably the #1 preventable death in the combat theater is going to be from hemorrhaging. So this was a huge thing they always had, and it's evolved over the years. When we first got in, it was the powder. They said, we don't like that stuff. We don't want that gets in the bloodstream and things like that. So they didn't want us using that. There were hydrogen bandages. That was the other thing that they liked. You cut off the square and you pack it in there. This is very similar to that. They started selling it in the stores for hunting and things such as that. Great product. I love it. Before jumping to that, emergency dressings, try to use this first, and this should stop the bleeding. If you just use it, compression dressing, and use that first before you jump to combat gauze. Like I said, I'm not gonna teach first aid. I'm just going over what these products are for. This is more for like an arterial bleeding where it's just not stopping, it's spraying everywhere. This, you just jam that in there. More gauze, good to have gauze. And then of course, this is just more triple antibiotic. Of course, you have your cat T tourniquet. Some people, they like cat tourniquets. Some of them like the Swift T ones. Either way, make sure that they're quality. Do not buy knockoff ones. Problem with knockoff ones is right here, this stick. A lot of times that does not hold, it ends up breaking. That. With all of this stuff, before I go, I want to add this in because everybody's wondering, why do you have that? This right here is from City Hall, and a lot of times they will just give these out in vending machines. So I carry these for specifically because in modern times, there's a lot of fentanyl, a lot of opiates that are going around, especially out here. People are hiking, they're going out, they're partying, they're enjoying the outdoors. A lot of times they bring other things out here. So it's not just enjoying it sober. Some people come out here, they drink, they're using drugs, they're doing things like that. Sad to say, some people, they're not even doing that. Some people are just, they have lifelong chronic injuries. They're taking pain medication and then possibly overdose. You don't know what you're gonna come up upon when you're on the trail or anything else. So it's good to have this. And I have a couple because with fentanyl, and this might not even be enough, with fentanyl, oftentimes one of these Narcans that's not going to work. So you have to hit them with another one. If you give somebody this and they are not overdosing, nothing's going to happen. So don't be afraid to just not take the chance to go ahead and hit them with this. I'm not going to tell you how to do all that. If somebody's in the medical field, like I said before, go ahead, chime in on each of these things that I discussed. I'm just showing you what I have in my first aid kit, and you can learn more from a medical professional, or in fact, you can actually go to a course. So this is from MOLLE. I also carry this. This is great to have. It's a little cheat sheet, little card that you can get online. I will show you where that's at. I'll put that in the description as well. But MOLLE also teaches a lot of medical first aid courses, wilderness first responder courses, wilderness EMT courses, but it is not exclusive to just MOLLE. MOLLE is the National Outdoor Leadership School. It's a very well-known school for outdoor leadership courses and things. Go check that out as well. But yeah, that's my first aid kit, really. I do have some other random stuff on here. You know, this is for tension pneumothorax. This is a needle decompression. We're not even going to get into that. That's just extra stuff that I learned in the military. But like you see, I just add extra things on here as I go because you never know when you're going to need them. So let's go over to my aid bag. Let's check that out. This is going to be a lot more stuff. A lot of things are going to be like, why do you even have that? But as I always said, you make your kit how you want it, what you might need. You never know what you might need. So I just bring along anything, pretty much anything I can find, I bring it along because you're going to encounter so many different types of medical emergencies. So anyway, let's move on. Let's move on to my aid kit. Okay, this is my larger aid bag. I have more stuff in here. I have some copies of things from my regular first aid bag in here, so I won't go too in depth. I'm just going to tell you the extra stuff that I have in here. I put things into categories so that you don't have to sit here for 20 minutes and listen to me talk. So starting out, we're going to go with this. So I have a copy of SAM Splint. It's always good to have extra SAM Splint. You never know if you sprain your leg, break your leg and an arm at the same time. You don't know, or somebody else is injured. Have extras. Ace bandages, pain relief, and anti-diarrhea. So if you catch a bug, you drink something or you eat something and it's got something bad in it, catch that, you end up with diarrhea out here, it's going to be really bad. It's just everything's going to go through you. You don't want to dehydrate. Anti-diarrhea. More blister band-aids, different band-aid sizes, alcohol, preps, iodine, some gauze, and then I have some burn pads as well. People like fires. Everybody goes camping, overlanding, they have a fire usually. Susceptible to burns, so bring something for burns. I also have some sprays here. I have hydrogen peroxide. I have a couple of these that have a little bit of lidocaine in it, kind of numb the pain. And then I have Hibiclens. Hibiclens is, I believe it's a prep for surgical. If you're in the medical field, please enlighten us. Let us know if that's what this is. The reason why I know what this is because I ended up getting staph infection and it turned into MRSA when I was doing jiu-jitsu. So I had an injury when I was doing jiu-jitsu and I got that. And after all of that whole craziness, I ended up using this every time I train. Afterwards, I'll wash my arms and legs with this stuff. Never had an issue with staph since that. So this stuff is amazing. We'll move on. Obviously, triple antibiotic. I have some Narcan here. Same as that naloxone that I had in my first aid kit. It's just the brand name of it. So I just carry extra. Why not? It was free. Like I said, in my first aid kit, I have epinephrine pens for insect allergies, people that are allergic. My son was allergic, so I have that. Moving further, a little bit more emergent. This right here, you're gonna say, how do you have sutures? Why do you have sutures? Why? Because I learned how to use them, so I carry this stuff with me. Why not? The thing is with a lot of this stuff, you need to be careful because there are legalities. So don't just be going out here and giving people sutures. This is just me using this stuff. This is for my own personal use. Do not go out there and start doing medical aid on people unless you know the laws. Before you do that, you can get in a lot of trouble. So also, I have lidocaine, and that's another thing. Well, how'd you get that? Well, I got it, and so I carry it. With this stuff, these things expire, so make sure that you do look at the expiration dates on these, and if they are expired, you get rid of them because either they're going to be ineffective or they could actually harm you. So that being said, moving forward, suture removal kits. I don't know if you need that out here, but I have it. It also has a scissors and forceps in it, which are great for if you have a tick or anything else. You can always use it. There's an alcohol prep in there. It's extra stuff that you can use. Stapler. Depending on where you're at, if you can't get to medical aid and something is that bad, I just have a stapler here. It's something that, this is all stuff that you should train on, or you should have some kind of education on in some way. Sutures. Also with this is I have some irrigation. So this is saline irrigation, and that goes also with the saline locks. So the reason why I have these is sometimes very minimally often do I come out here, I bring a bag, I bring a IV bag. So we learned this in the military. To get through your course in the military, you have to successfully stick someone. And what I mean by stick is give them an IV and then add a bag to it. And we would always do that to each other at least once a week. We were doing that just to make sure that we were proficient on it. And we did it just to hydrate each other. So that's why I have that. Now moving forward, I just a couple more of those scalpels I just have for why not. These are all your emergency dressings. I'm not gonna get into how this is all used and what you do with it, but I'm just gonna quickly go over it. Emergency dressings, and then combat gauze. You saw it in my first aid kit. This is kind of similar to that. You just pack it in there. Then I have some, this is also rolled gauze. It's just sealed in there, vacuum sealed in there. It's sterile, so good stuff. And then you're gonna say, why do you have a chest seal? Why not? I mean, it's more so for like a gunshot wound or a puncture wound in the chest. The odds of experiencing anything like that are very, very slim, but this was free. I have it. I replace it at a low cost. Why not? Here's your needle decompression. That was on my first aid kit. Another thing, once again, we learned in the military, a lot of this was, there was an uptick on this in Iraq, people having tension pneumothorax. If you don't know what that is, go look that up. People that are in the medical profession, once again, you already know what this is. So I carry this around as well, something we were trained on. And then of course, the major limb, arterial bleeds. So cat T tourniquet, cat tourniquet, or if you like the soft T tourniquets, either one, people have their preference. If you don't know what each one is, go look it up. I'll put stuff down in the description, go to check it out. That's my aid bag. That's my large aid bag. So I'm gonna talk real quickly about the bags that I have hanging up on the back of my truck, the little packs I have in the MOLLE pouches, just a little bit of that, and then we're gonna get out of here, but that is my aid bag. Let's move on. Okay, let's go back over here. I got a little off track, but let's go over here and let's check out what I have. All right. These bags right here, in these bags, I just have a multitude of things. I'm always changing them out. I always kind of switch them out. And, you know, just right now I have some cortisone 10 and I have some bug bite stuff right here. Let's see, this is just a Benadryl, kind of a Benadryl gel. It's kind of all-in-one stuff for all around sunburns, scrapes, insect bites, things like that. I carry some of this liquid stuff. I'll put all this stuff, I'll put everything in the description. I'll make it nice and organized in there. You can check it out and see if you're missing anything. If you want to add anything, go ahead. This right here is for poison ivy, poison oak, poison sumac. Around here, it's mostly poison ivy. Really, poison sumac is probably the only other thing you're gonna see around here, but that's more in like bogs and swamps and areas like that. So you're probably not gonna encounter much of that. Poison oak, pretty much non-existent from what I know. But poison ivy, we'll do another video on that. I will show you how effective different things are between that. And here's another, this is calamine lotion. Everybody knows about that. They got songs on it and whatever. Talking about poison ivy, allergic reactions to it. I'm gonna do another video, like I said, and maybe I'll just hit myself with some poison ivy and show you guys how it reacts and just see which one works better. I have some athlete's foot, some antifungal right here, and then antacids, and really it's just, you know, just the small things that you carry anyway. I carry a thermometer in here as well, just why not? Bug sprays, that's really what I have up here. My first aid kit's right here. I also have right up here some bear spray. That's another story. Out here, black bear, really not. You really don't need to hit them with bear spray, but there may be an incident where you never know, something might happen. I just carry it because sometimes you'll see in some other videos that I'm out west, I'm in Wyoming and Montana, Idaho, those areas, that's grizzly bear country, and that's a different story, different video for another time. We will get into bear sprays and stuff. Other than that, stay tuned. You know, like that's my first aid kit. I figured I need to put that in there because a lot of people don't think about that. There's a lot of injuries when you go out into the woods camping and overlanding. People it just goes over their head and they kind of don't think about it until it's too late. That being said, with first aid, if you are in the medical profession, go ahead, chime in, and please comment. Everybody would love to hear some of your insights on all these products and anything that we could add into our first aid kits or training that we could get, where to go to get this training so that we can do better out here and make sure that we're prepared, more prepared for overlanding and camping. So go ahead, chime in, comment. Even if you're not in a medical profession, go ahead and comment anyway. Chat with me. I love to chat with people. And we have some more videos coming up, some more adventures. So like I always say, like, subscribe, follow along, comment, and I'll see you on the next adventure.